Hi everyone, I hope you are doing okay today. I just want to take a few minutes to talk about something you will hear a lot about in mental health nursing, the mental state examination or MSE. Now, don't worry, it might sound a bit technical, but honestly, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. So, what is the mental state examination? Let's keep it simple. The MSE is like taking a snapshot of someone's mind. Think of it as a mental selfie. It captures how someone is thinking, feeling, and behaving in that specific moment. Here, you're not making a diagnosis, you're just observing and describing. And the funny thing is, you are probably already doing versions of this without even realizing it. For example, let's say your friend turns up to class one day looking really drained. They barely say a word and they don't laugh at any of the usual jokes. And you'd probably think something is not quite right. And that's basically an informal mental state examination. Now, in a clinical setting, we use mental state examination in a more structured way to notice things like a person's appearance, their speech, mood, thought patterns, and more. So it gives us a clearer picture of what's going on for that person, especially when they are distressed or struggling to express themselves. It's structured, but it's definitely not robotic. The mental state examination is a skill, and like all skills, you get better at it with practice. Now, let's walk through what we actually look at during a mental status examination. First up, appearance and behavior. You are looking at how the person presents themselves. Are they dressed for the weather? Are they sitting still or pacing around? Whether they are making eye contact. I remember on placement where a man came wearing three winter coats in July. He was sweating but refused to take them off because he thought he was being watched. That told us a lot straight away. The way someone dresses, moves, makes eye contact, it's all information. Next is speech. We are not just listening to what they say, but how they say it. Is their speech really fast or super slow, or are they making any sense? When I was a student, one young woman I met during my placement spoke so fast I could barely keep up, and she kept jumping topics. It turned out she was in a manic episode of bipolar disorder. The speed of the speech told us as much as the words. So, speech rate, volume, clarity, it's not just about how they sound, it's about what might be happening inside. Next, mood and affect. So, here's a little trick. Mood is what the person says they feel. Affect is what you observe. Someone might say, I'm fine, but their voice is flat, they won't make eye contact, and their face doesn't change. You'd probably think they don't seem fine, or it can be the opposite. They say they are sad, but they are laughing and cracking jokes. That mismatch tells you something important. I once saw a man in an acute ward who smiled and joked constantly, even when talking about losing his home and family. It was unsettling, and that's because his affect didn't match the content. So, mood is what they say, and affect is what you see. Next is thought content and process. This is where it gets deep. This is where we start exploring what they are thinking and how those thoughts are structured. Is their thinking clear and logical, or is it jumping all over the place? Are they having delusions like believing someone's spying on them? One woman on the ward kept checking under the bed and behind curtains. She thought staff had planted cameras to watch her. That's disordered thought content and possibly delusion. So, delusion is a false, unshakable belief which cannot be removed by logical reasoning. Perceptions. What are perceptions? What are disturbances in perceptions? That's hearing voices, seeing things which others don't. Don't worry, you are not expected to treat that in the moment, but your job is to ask gently and observe carefully. It's totally okay to gently ask, have you noticed anything unusual lately? Any sounds or voices that others might not hear? Here, you're not trying to fix it, you are just listening. Disturbances in thought process and perception is not just unusual, it's a clue that their thought content and perception might be affected by psychosis. Next, cognition, insight, and judgment. Cognition is all about orientation. Do they know who they are, where they are, and what day it is? I once saw a gentleman who confidently told me it was 1998 and he was still in the army. In fact, he was 83 and in a care home. And that's cognitive impairment, and it affects how we communicate and plan care. Insight and judgment, that's whether someone understands that they are unwell and whether they are making safe decisions. Someone might be very mentally unwell but say, I'm not ill, I just have special powers. That tells you about their insight. A person with schizophrenia might not believe they need meds, but with support, they might still take them. And that's partial insight. Judgment is about whether they are making safe decision. So, cognition is about whether someone is alert and aware. Do they know who they are, where they are, and what's going on around them? Insight is whether they recognize that they are unwell or in need of help. And judgment is about the decisions they are making. Those decisions, whether they are safe and appropriate given their current situation. Here is the exciting part. You, as the nurse, are key. You spend more time with service users than anyone else on the team. So your observations, those small moments really matter. For example, a service user once told me that the new medication is making him feel like he is underwater. That wasn't in the notes, but it shaped the whole care review. So ask open questions like, can you tell me what's been going on for you lately? You'd be surprised what people will share if they feel heard. You are not expected to memorize everything right away, and no one's going to hand you a checklist on day one. But your role is to observe carefully, listen closely, ask respectful and simple open ended questions, and document what you see and hear clearly. Before we finish, just remember mental status examination is a skill you build. You'll get better at it with time and practice. So the goal isn't to tick every box, it's to understand the person in front of you. All right, that's it for now. I hope that helped make mental state examination feel a bit more real. Thanks for watching and keep being curious, compassionate and kind. You are already on your way.